The ice cream machine is broke. The ice cream machine is broke.
Many such cases. I actually haven't eaten at McDonald's in like 3 or 4 years now, but when I did go there, my average order was just like a milkshake and some fries. And I remember that probably 2 out of 4 times I would go, I could just say 1 out of 2 times, half of all times, whatever, they would tell me that their machine was broken. And I just remember, like, this is why I really started to stop going there, because I was like, I could never get the order that I wanted. That said, apparently this issue is common enough that they have a whole website for it, so welcome to another video I've been itching to make. I love a good conspiracy, and this one is super mundane, just about how frequently McDonald's machines are just completely unusable. It's just something that made me giggle, so it's getting a video. I plan on having kind of an ongoing series of videos that are going to be like short form, kind of compact explanations of various quote unquote conspiracy theories. I've always been kind of out there as far as things like this go, and I really love talking about stuff that just makes you think, even if it's not productive thinking. And so this is going to be the first in that series, and I'm super excited. So if you've stumbled into this and that sort of thing interests you, subscribe. My content is all over the place, and I promise to only deliver the best slop. Anyways, after doing like a ton of research, I'm here to explain why this all is like even remotely interesting, why you should care. And hopefully I'll be able to expose a couple of Ronald McDonald's cheap tricks. I hate that guy. Now, if you don't know, the average McDonald's is actually a franchised location. So this essentially means that a franchisee is renting the concept of McDonald's so that they can sell you McDonald's products at a profit, right? So they don't own the McDonald's name. The McDonald's Corporation is essentially giving it, like loaning it to them legally for them to sell McDonald's products. And then McDonald's as a corporation gets some of the money. Most of it comes from just straight up renting land and stores to people. So the money that those people pay to rent the land and stores is a majority of the profit that McDonald's as a corporation will make in that area. But this is why some McDonald's have small differences like decor, uniforms, machinery, etc. Interestingly though, you may or may not have noticed this, but they all pretty much are going to have the same ice cream machine. And this is a Taylor C602. Now, the only other machine that franchise owners are actually allowed to have, as far as an ice cream machine goes, is a Carpigiani. But there is a catch to this. So those machines are actually made in Italy, and that means that any parts, any help from the manufacturer, anything like that is going to come from very far away. So if they need a replacement part, it might take weeks to arrive. Versus Taylor is a US-based company, American-owned, whatever. The parts come from within the US. The dealers, the technicians, they're all, more or less in-house. There's locations all around. So really, it's like being stuck between a rock and a hard place. Franchisees have to pick between a machine that might break down a bit less, but then you're liable to be out a machine for like weeks, maybe even months on end waiting on a replacement part, or a machine that will break down more often, but at least the tech is, within the US, so you have more of a hope in getting it fixed in a timely manner. Now, I'll touch on it a bit later, but there's actually a pretty good reason that in 2026 this isn't that big of a, if really an issue at all. But first, some backstory and a bit more explanation. Now, you may be thinking, okay, well, if these machines suck so bad, why does McDonald's even still trust this corporation? Why don't they just pick a new manufacturer, open up, let their franchisees have their choice? Well, the explanation is actually kind of twofold. One to clarify and one to expose a bit of lore. For one, this might come as a surprise, but Taylor machines actually don't suck. They provide machines for the likes of Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, In-N-Out, Dairy Queen, and even places like hotels, stadiums, or just like regular mom and pop ice cream shops. But these machines are not that famous C602, they're just other Taylor models. These machines don't carry obscure multi-letter randomized error codes that can't be classified by the average person. After all, Taylor doesn't just make the McDonald's machines. They make all kinds of machines, but McDonald's only buys that specific Taylor machine. As for the second part of the answer, we have to go a bit further up the chain. Now, Taylor is owned by parent corporation Middleby, and Middleby seems to have their fist pretty far up Ronald's ass. Middleby, as recently as 2024, has made major contributions to the Ronald McDonald House charity, providing tons of equipment for their kitchens. Gotta get those write-offs, right? That is to say, a lot of money is being exchanged hands here, and at high levels. And that makes it way easier for McDonald's to justify their partnership with Taylor and Middleby as a company. And, on the flip side, Taylor doesn't really need much help justifying their end of the contract. They make tons of money from these machines. What kind of money? Well, each machine starts at roughly $18,000, and this is not including service fees, new parts, and of course any of their like ice cream mix, which I'm sure is like a proprietary thing. And all of this is coming out of a franchisee's pocket, not the McDonald's Corporation, mind you. And you know what else comes out of the franchisee's pockets? Every single service fee. So all those error codes that those machines throw up that aren't in the user manual, every time a tech comes out just to flip a switch, press a button, clear out some stuck ice cream, every time there's an error that comes from just being too much product, that fee comes out of the franchisee's pocket and goes directly into Taylor's hands. Meaning that they will basically have an unlimited stream of income as long as these machines keep breaking down. Essentially, the manual tells the franchisees that if anything weird happens, they should just call a tech. And in the manual, actually, it even threatens that the contract will be void if the franchisee tries to, like, fix the machine themselves. God forbid someone saves $1. On top of that, the error codes, as far as I can tell, are not defined in the manual. They're made up of kind of just random mashes of numbers, letters, and then like usually a half word or phrase. So aside from just like a basic setup and takedown procedure, cleaning, mixing the ice cream, whatever, there really isn't that much to the manuals, and there's not much that an individual can do to maintain these machines, especially in the instance of an error code. This means that franchisees are left at the whim of Taylor techs. If a tech can't come out, they're screwed. If they can't afford to pay a tech to come out, they're screwed. All of this was an issue until someone new stepped into the ring. Kitsch. So, to make a long story short, Kitsch creators Jeremy O'Sullivan and Melissa Nelson built a machine off the back of a Raspberry Pi that's meant to interpret these codes and has Wi-Fi connectivity to make it so that franchisee owners have a direct way to monitor their machines. This allows them to more or less solve a majority of these problems on their own. You kind of have to figure that a lot of these issues are just like, oh, the ice cream got built up, or there's not enough ice cream. And imagine calling a tech out and he opens the machine and he's just like, yeah, you just need more. And then you have to pay him $700 for that? In short, this saved franchisees tons of money. But it put a dent into Taylor's earnings, which they obviously did not like. And that's saying a lot because these fees actually made up to 25% of Taylor's revenue. Not just the machines, but just sending these guys out to hit a button. All of this actually got a lot more controversial when Taylor ended up taking one of these machines that contained a Kitsch device in for repair. But this repair went from taking a few days to a few weeks, then a few months, and O'Sullivan and Nelson put two and two together. There was no reason this repair should have been taking this long. They served Taylor a restraining order and insisted that the device was returned. Taylor actually went so far as to lie and claim that they didn't have any of the devices, but of course when the legal side of things got into play, they returned the device and claimed that they had never even logged into it, they had never used Kitsch services, and that they had no knowledge of the device. However, in leaked internal emails between Taylor and McDonald's, Taylor stated that the reason that they had the devices was to evaluate and assess its potential technology-related impacts upon our soft serve machine, such as whether the radio frequency of the Kitsch device would interfere with our software signal, or whether the Kitsch device would drain the power source of our software and or cause it to malfunction, which is pretty amusing given what the Kitsch device does and what Taylor machines were known for. And it seems that in retaliation, Taylor went as far as to announce that they'd be releasing a new machine that had a 99% uptime, which started at a cool $30,000 with a quarterly service fee of $700. So, better. Kitsch did attempt to sue Taylor for infringing on their IP, but the suit was dismissed on the ground that there was just no infringement found. Despite, of course, Taylor conveniently having one of these Kitsch devices for months and likely basing their entire tech solutions off of this product. So, while there were no direct ties found, it's highly likely that the technology within Kitsch was used to engineer whatever solutions they came up with for their new ice cream machine. But I mentioned earlier that all of this is becoming a bit of a nothing burger, if you'll excuse the pun. In 2024 in Canada, under right to repair laws, two new bills were introduced. Bill C-244 and Bill C-294. C-244 makes it legal for businesses and individuals to bypass digital locks for repairs. And C-294 ensures that devices and software aren't shackled to a single manufacturer, meaning that third-party repair options are now available. Which, if you make something and someone buys it from you, I think they should just be allowed to do whatever they want with it. Like, if they want to put the whole ice cream machine in their butt, I don't think there should be anything preventing them from doing that. It's their ice cream machine. Anyways, likewise in October of 2024, pretty similar to that of the Canadian bills, which I think were actually passed after this, like really close in that same time frame. I think both of these were actually implemented more or less because of these McDonald's issues. Likewise, in October of 2024, the U.S. Copyright Office granted an exemption that allowed third parties to bypass manufacturer-implemented software locks to diagnose problems, perform maintenance, repair broken commercial equipment, and this includes, of course, those godforsaken Taylor ice cream machines. So, in short, franchisees can employ whatever means they wish to service their machines, be it Taylor, Kitsch, or their own two hands. And just like that, the machine is fixed. The ice cream flows, and all is forgotten. Why were we upset again? I guess it doesn't matter. We've got ice cream now. Isn't that all we wanted in the first place?